Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
Thanks, Alan. So, if you look at that,
Donald Trump's decision to impose new tariffs on all goods entering the US has been criticized by leaders from around the world. The US president announced a universal 10% tariff on all imports into the US from the 5th of April. Around 60 countries will also be hit with steeper tariffs from the 9th of April. China has expressed its opposition to the move and has warned it will take resolute countermeasures against the US, while the EU has also said it will hit back. Mr. Trump said the measures were payback for unfair trade policies and would make America wealthy again, adding that he had been very kind in his decisions.
So 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less. So how can anybody be upset? They will be, because we never charge anybody anything, but now we're going to charge. European Union, they're very tough, very, very tough traders. You think of the European Union, very friendly. They rip us off. It's so sad to see. It's so pathetic. 39%, we're going to charge them 20%, so we're charging them essentially half.
Australia's exports to the United States represent about under 5% of our goods exports. Okay, so let's have some perspective here about standing up for Australia's national interest.
On our response, all I can say is that there will be one. It will happen at the appropriate moment after the expected announcement later this evening.
Let me be clear with the House. A trade war is in nobody's interests. And the country deserves, and we will take, a calm, pragmatic approach.
In reality, we're waiting for the American announcement tonight.
Cette nuit, nous savons en revanche qu'il risque d'être assez puissant.
People are speaking of tariffs between 20 and 25%. This will obviously lead to major economic disorder on the affected products, not only in Europe, but also in the United States. The U.S. is clearly a key market for us. It is clear that the introduction of new tariffs would have heavy repercussions for Italian producers.
Per I produttori italiani. Penso personalmente che sarebbe anche un'ingiustizia per molti americani perché
I personally think it would also be an injustice for many U.S. citizens because it would limit the possibility of buying and consuming our excellence only to those who can afford to spend more.
Hungary's government has announced it is withdrawing from the International Criminal Court. The move was announced by a senior official in Prime Minister Viktor Orban's government hours after Israel's leader Benjamin Netanyahu, who is sought under an ICC arrest warrant, arrived in Hungary for a state visit. Orban had invited Netanyahu as soon as the warrant was issued last November, saying the ruling would have no effect in his country. Myanmar's junta chief Min Aung Hlaing is in Thailand for a regional summit as his country reels from an earthquake that killed thousands and left cities in ruins. The earthquake in central Myanmar last Friday killed 3,085 people and injured over 4,700. Hundreds more are missing and the toll is expected to rise. Min Aung Hlaing arrived in Bangkok on Thursday on the eve of a summit that will gather leaders of the 7 countries that border the Bay of Bengal. Newly released photographs have shown the moment 2 ships collided during last month's North Sea crash. It comes as preliminary investigations have found that neither ship had a dedicated lookout. Visibility when the Solong container ship struck the Stena Immaculate oil tanker in the North Sea on the 10th of March was patchy. That's according to the Marine Accident Investigation Branch. And dozens of destructive tornadoes have hit as severe weather lashed the Midwest and south of the US on Wednesday evening. More than 13 million Americans were under tornado watch, the National Weather Service said. Intense and even violent tornadoes have destroyed homes and farms in Missouri and Arkansas. Radar data suggests straight-line winds reached 80 miles per hour in Indiana. About 5 million people were under tornado watches in parts of Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama early on Thursday. At least one person has been killed in Tennessee. The wide-reaching storm system will trigger multiple days of nearly non-stop rain that could trigger generational flooding in Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, and Mississippi. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.